Few people take responsibility for the events and situations that happen to them. Most people spend their entire lives blaming other people for their choices and their decisions. If you look at this society and you look at this world, most people, they complain about everything. They complain about the traffic. They complain about their job. They complain about the kids. They complain about the cars. They complain about their house. They complain about any and everything that they possibly can complain about. But they never stop for a second to ask themselves, what are some solutions to my problems? To them, that's too hard to do. So we live in a society filled with people that blame everybody for everything that happens to them. And me being younger, when I was younger, 40 now, but when I was younger, I made some of those same decisions. And it took me getting around my mid to late, probably late 20s, before I got to a point to understand that I control my life. And anytime I blame somebody else for my problems, I give them the power. I give them the authority that they don't even have and never did have. When I got to that point in my life, I became powerful mentally because I understood that no one can stop me. No one can stop me. But as long as you believe that it's somebody else's fault, you can be stopped. I hear people talk all the time about the man don't want to see you win. You're putting your life in somebody else's hand. You're giving someone else the power and the authority over you. When you say you can't make it because of your sexual orientation, or the color of your skin, or because of your gender, or because you didn't graduate high school, or you didn't go to college. Nothing is stopping you but you. But most people are programmed to believe that the problem is out there when the problem is really inside of here. When do you get to a point to fully understand that? Most people will never be told what I'm speaking of right now. You have elders that spend their life believing that it was someone else's fault that they couldn't become successful. It was someone else's fault that their business didn't grow the way it needed to grow. It was someone else's fault that they didn't graduate college. It was someone else's fault that they didn't get married. It was someone else's fault. I'm talking about they didn't get the car they wanted. It was someone else's fault they didn't get the job that they wanted. And if they ever stop for a second, at any point in time, they like to say, what are the solutions to my problem? Because when you get to a point in life where you can say, hey, it's my fault, guess what happens? You can solve the problem that you know that you're at fault with. But as long as you blaming somebody else and waiting on them to solve your problem will never be solved. And most people's problems will never be solved. I remember when I was 20 years old, I worked at the boat. And I used to come to work late. And I wasn't 30 minutes late. I wasn't 15 minutes late. I was 2 minutes late. 1 minute late. 4 minutes late. 5 minutes late. Like, I was in that time frame going to work late. Sometimes seconds late. And I pointed out. They fired me. And at that point in time, at 20 years old, I was so upset, I was blaming the company. I was mad. Man, they hated on me. They hated on me. They didn't like me. Until I stopped. It took me probably about my late 20s to say, but if you would have got to work on time, they would not have fired you. They would not have fired you. Sidney, that was your fault. Stop blaming other people for a decision that you made, Sidney. And it took me years later for me to appreciate getting to work on time and being on time for anything that I commit to. If I commit to something, I want to be on time. Going past a job. If I tell you I'm going to be at your venue at 10:30, I want to be there at least at 10:25. I look at my life as in everything that happens to me, there was some shape, form, or fashion where I could have avoided a problem. I never look at a problem where there is no way I could have avoided it. I hear people, and I can speak for myself, I've been in bad relationships in the past. And you would think to blame the other person. But then you have to stop and ask yourself a couple questions. The first question is, who chose that individual? I did. I did. Second, when you go through these situations, if you stop being a victim and start deciding to learn from the situation, you can become a better man or woman. But you can only learn if you're able to admit that I played a role in it. I made a poor choice, or I made poor decisions in this situation. Most people, you ever been around somebody and every time they talk, somebody always did them wrong. Somebody always messed over them. If you have a discussion with them, they never say, hey, I was wrong in this area. I know I feel offended, but in this area, I messed up. And these same people will go through life and they'll complain to everybody. I know people that have a criminal record longer than I-20, longer than an interstate. And if you ask them, they will say they was innocent in every single situation. They was never the problem. And you telling me you've been arrested 30 times. Not one time was your fault. People got something against you. 30 times? Come on now. But this world, it makes you feel comfortable when you're able to blame others. And you're never able to mature as the man or woman that you should become because nothing's your fault. There's nothing to learn from. At least if I mess up, right, and I'm able to hold myself accountable, guess what happens? I can learn from the situation. I can grow. I can develop. I can change. But if in every situation they did something wrong to me, how do I change? Think about when I lost it, when I got fired from the boat. If I left that job saying it wasn't my fault, they just was hating on me. Guess what happened? I go to the next job late. I get fired, I go to the next job late. They're hating on me. The next job late. And I never learn. But when I'm able to say it's my fault, guess what happened? I can learn and make a better decision. If I'm in a bad relationship, right? Guess what happens? When I get in the next relationship, guess what happens? I'm better. The bad relationships I was in before set me up for the position I'm in today. Because I was able to learn from those previous situations instead of always looking at the other person. You can blame others all you want to, but how does it help you? How do you develop? How do you grow? Because I just don't like being around the individuals that everything is always somebody else's fault. Never able to admit the issues, the problems that they have. And you know what's so amazing that I've learned in my own personal life is that when you get with a good woman, and this can go vice versa, if you're a woman with a good man, you start to see yourself in ways that you didn't get to see yourself. If you're able to get past the blaming other people part, and you get to see some stuff where you like, I didn't know I was that bad. I didn't know that I was making that choice. I didn't know that I was that upset. I didn't know I was that angry. I didn't know that bothered you the way that bothered you. When you're able to get past yourself and to see it from their viewpoint, you learn and you grow. Big time. But you can't grow if every time something happens, it's always someone else's fault. A lot of people have work problems. They go to work late. They miss deadlines. Projects need to be turned in. They don't turn them in. They miss the quotas. And they say, hey, I missed my quota because no one wanted to purchase cars this month. If you're a car salesman. But then I could turn around and say, okay, well, what extra marketing are you going to do this month? You missed your numbers in January. What are you going to do to market yourself better in February so you can hit those numbers? You know what they'll do? They'll just blame the economy. Oh, it's the economy. But one thing I know about this world, people are always spending money. People are always spending money. So what are you going to do? Blame and complain or make the necessary adjustments? Money problems. Right? This world has always, United States of America has always gone through recessions. Right? When you go through a recession, most people complain and blame the government. Government, we need the stimulus. All we can do is say, hey, we got to cut back. If we're used to spending $100 a week going out to eat, let's change that to $50 a week. If we're used to buying every pair of new shoes that come out, a new bag that comes out, right? Let's go every 4 months and do that. Guess what happened? You started to make a conscious decision to make a better decision for your life. What about managing your money better? Making better choices and decisions, saving some money. Focusing on paying off your debt. You keep saying you're going through a recession, but guess what? You're steady adding on more debt. This is the time to pay your debt off. This is the time. But we live in a society where everything is about, oh man, money problem. It's something that the government's doing. Speak on inflation, but you keep spending more and more money. But you want to speak on inflation. Stop spending so much money in areas that you don't need to spend it in. Because we know one thing, people always find a way to spend on their luxuries. They always do. Recession or not. You have people that drive, right? And get into accidents. Where they can say, hey man, the person hit me from behind. Which is true. And they blame the individual, hey, it's your fault. You hit me from behind. But if you're a defensive driver, because I have a CDL and I drive for a living, one of the things you have to say to yourself is, guess what? If I didn't make that quick stop, if I didn't make that emergency stop, if I would have started slowing down a little bit sooner, that I would have gave that person behind me a longer warning to stop. See, we never get to the point to understand that we are our own problems. Sometimes you driving on the freeway, right? You decide to change lanes. You don't hit your signal light, right? Or you hit it at the last second. You flick it, then you change lane. But the person next to you didn't have time to see your lane change. Boom, accident. You say, but I cut my signal light on. Yes, but if you'd have gave them more time, you could have avoided that accident. See, when you see it from a different perspective, as in every decision that happens in your life is your choice, and you could have done something better, man, you find out how powerful you can be. You're a manager of a company, and your employees that you're over are not performing well. You blame them instead of looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, hey, I'm giving poor leadership. I need to do a better job of leading the troops. I need to do a better job of motivating the troops. I need to give incentives so the troops want to work harder for me. See, your life will change when you get to the point in life to say to yourself, everything that happens to me is my fault. Stop blaming others. Stop looking for others to solve your problems. And look dead in that mirror and tell yourself, any and everything that happened to me is my fault. My name is Sidney Combs, and I'm a young entrepreneur from Shreveport, Louisiana with $1 and a dream. I appreciate everyone for giving me the opportunity. Thank you. I'm out.